You're watching Network Radio. Live from the Media Broadcasting Center.
Before we get started, I wanted to first of all thank the Media Broadcasting Center. We're extremely pleased to be a part of it. You guys are such a fantastic team. Mark and Chance have really done a fantastic job, man. They have been on it all day long, promoting this show all over Facebook. Their friends have been sharing it. Our friends have been sharing it. So we really, first off, want to really thank those guys for all of their hard work and going the extra mile for us, man. We really, really appreciate that.
Hey, we're all a part of a team here. I just wanted to quickly just throw that out. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. I think one of our audios might have been cutting out, and that giant scream might not have come through loud enough, so we might have to do that again later on.
We can always end the show with it.
We got you coming through loud and clear, though, now. Sorry about that, guys.
That's what they look like? Oh, my goodness.
But anyway, we've gotten so many shares today from Chance, from you and Mark, and man, I can't tell you, it's a good feeling. You guys have welcomed us. I mean, since this morning, man, I was geeked. I was at work and just overwhelmed with all the support that we've been getting here. You guys are really, really awesome. We really appreciate everything that you do.
Well, no problem. Like I said, welcome to the network. There's plenty of archive shows that we've produced. Mark, like anyone who tuned in a little bit early for the show, he was just on an episode of Canada the Nation. I think he's about 50 episodes deep, so you can check out over a year of programming. If you like 9/11, a show that you're going to be sharing your Thursday night slot with is called 9/11 Talks with Bev Collins, who is my favorite lady ever, and she has had everyone on from Richard Gage to Massimo Masukumo to everyone that's been pretty much involved in 9/11 that has a known name has been on the Bev Collins show, and we even had Mike call in last week, so there's a lot of stuff on there. I've got 70, 80 episodes of just crazy conspiracy theory, I think is what they call it, on Truth Talk, but all of the archives, including this show right here, is available at WeBookYourShow.com. There is video and audio streams. There's a free app. You can download all this. You guys can have the app too, and you can have your show right on your phone. So I'm just going to shut up and leave it up to you guys. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, what we're going to talk about tonight is we're gonna dig. We're going to kind of come right off with it, man. We're going to talk about the Constitution of the United States, being from America, the mainstream media. I'm not really sure how they broadcast to Canada from the USA, but the mainstream media here is probably the worst of the worst. So basically, we're going to go into how our constitutional rights are being infringed upon every day, how we're turning into a police state. The list goes on, man. And we're also going to kind of cover some mainstream media stuff too. We're supposed to be protected by the Constitution in this country, meaning that we have rights and liberties that are guaranteed, and no law is supposed to trump the Constitution. And Eric, it's obvious that since 9/11, our rights and freedoms have been wiped right off the map, man. It's almost like they're non-existent.
Absolutely. So many acts have been passed, so many treasonous acts by this tyrannical government, and we're here to expose it tonight.
As always. So let's get started. I mean, 9/11 took place, and as little as in under a month, in October of 2001, our puppet in chief at the time, President George Bush, had the Patriot Act signed into law that was supposed to protect us from these scary boogeymen terrorists that were basically hiding in caves all over the Middle East, who were going to continue to attack us. Really fear-pushing propaganda, if you will. And we're going to kind of go through this Patriot Act, because the reason this thing, well, first of all, this thing was printed in the middle of the night, man. And I mean, it's well over 1,000 pages. and gave Congress, what was it, Eric, maybe 3.5 hours, just under 4 hours to read this, and it was voted on.
2 or 3 pages to read, actually, the whole act is all they're able to read.
Right. So they signed it anyway. They say, yep, we're going to sign it into law. And what they basically did is they signed our rights and our liberties and our freedoms away. Now our government is and has been, and I'm sure everybody has heard this before, they are able to tap our phones. They're able to go through our email, check our medical records. They can check our library records. They can search our house and our cars without a warrant. They can detain you indefinitely just for being suspicious. The minute you become suspicious in this country or get put on that list, we are actually being compared to terrorists such as ISIS right now. If we don't just obey, shut up, and sit down and be good little dogs that they want trained, if we're not good little slaves, we are definitely terrorists. We're bad people. So, I mean, for God's sakes, the First Amendment, it protects our freedom of speech, and we have free speech zones. Okay, there are free speech zones in places like New York. I'm not sure if there is any in Detroit, Eric, but I know that New York's got them, LA's got them, Philadelphia has them, Washington, D.C. has them. I mean, freedom of speech zones.
And there will be here soon.
Quite sure. Basically, anyone who's against any government authority or war or any kind of law that's put into place, like I said, we're considered suspicious. We're put on terrorist watch lists. We're just evil, evil, evil people. And let's not forget the fact that on 9/11, I didn't attack New York. You didn't attack New York. The American people did not attack New York or the Pentagon or the imaginary plane that was crashed in Shanksville. We're not responsible for that, but what happened is we became the victims of it. We are now we had to deal with the terror of being attacked on our soil, which I'm going to tell you right now, as Americans, our society, we are very arrogant. When this thing happened on our own soil, we flipped right out. Like, we were just in shock. Like, this doesn't happen in America. This can't happen to the big bad red, white, and blue. Well, it did, and kind of put us in our place a little bit. Okay, so that fear was there, and man, I mean, we're a country that's got prisons. Just scattered all over the country, man. Half of the prisons are people that are busted for drugs, and over half of those people that are busted for drugs are in there for marijuana, for God's sakes. I have a big problem with this. I'm not going to lie. If I smoke marijuana, my biggest concern is, where's the Cheetos? All right. I'm not looking to smoke weed and go run out and rob a convenience store or hijack a car. All right. I'm laid back on the couch and I'm going, where's Pink Floyd's The Wall at? Eric, let's talk about this, man. This Patriot Act, they're trying to take our guns. I know we're known as like the cowboys, we riding around with guns. We don't have guns. I don't have guns anymore for hunting. I don't own a gun because I'm worried about Al Qaeda or the Jewish organized campaign of ISIS. I'm not worried about those guys. I'm worried about the government. I'm worried about the police. Okay, I've got guns because a white person walking down the street with a $10,000 suit and a briefcase is more of a threat to me than some guy that's got his hat on backwards and his pants kind of hanging off his waist, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know, Eric, you want to go ahead and throw some thoughts in on the Patriot Act, man? Shoot. I'm already getting amped up.
I mean, scores of cities right now, they're using television camera systems everywhere. It's just like 1984. You got video cameras perched atop buildings and poles, watching whatever Americans are doing. Suppose there's some potential for abuse using these cameras. Of course there is. Police in Detroit and DC have CCTV, which is closed circuit television, to stalk personal foes, political opponents, and young women, of course. Smile, you're on candid camera. You know, to justify its expanding obliteration of our constitutional and our civil liberties, the cabal uses the most simple brand of logic. And it should outrage the American citizens. Why did intelligence agencies fail to detect or prevent 9/11? If they had all this in place. Because they didn't have enough money was the answer. So we gave them billions more. And now they're going to expand it a little more. Why is the FBI still failing in its fight against terrorism? Is it possible because they don't want to stop it?
Is it possible because the terrorists are actually in Washington, D.C. paying the FBI?
Positively, absolutely true.
You know, the Second Amendment, man. Let's go into that, Eric. Let's go into the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Obviously, there's been a lot of false flags that have taken place. We covered one on last night's show. Last night, we went ahead and we covered the events of Sandy Hook and all the gun legislation. By the way, if you haven't checked out the new documentary, We Need to Talk About Sandy Hook, it's getting pulled off the internet left and right. But for everyone they pull, it seems like another 3 or 4 copies end up back on the internet. So we're not going to let this thing just go away. But it was all about taking the guns and what happens when they take the guns. I mean, Eric, it works so well for guys like Hitler and Stalin and Chavez. And I mean, all of those guys just fantastic. They had fantastic success with disarming all the people. So why is it important to you for you to be a gun owner? Because number one, you're not a felon. Okay, you haven't walked in and tried to rob a bank. You haven't caused any problems. You're not waving airsoft guns around at the park. So let me ask you this, man. If they take the guns, who do you think is actually going to, when the time comes, the people that are going to turn their guns in are the ones that are obeying the law, correct?
Correct.
So what happens to those that aren't going to obey the law? They're still going to be out there with the guns. Right. Okay. Tell me how you feel about the Second Amendment, man, because we're in America and we're very, very well known for the Second Amendment, you know? So go ahead, man. Give us your take on it.
Well, the Second Amendment was to put into place in case our government rose up in such great tyranny that we could fight back. And that's why our militias are in place to this day, is for that reason. So if they take our guns, well, we're screwed. I mean, we're already under a tyrannical control as it is. So take our guns, and what do we have left to fight with? Our fingers? Maybe a knife. How's a knife? And you know what, Mike? You know what's scary to me is, sure, we might have ARs, we might have AKs, we might have guns, but the government has such advanced technology. I mean, well, how's an AR going to do against a tank? And now the police force has tanks too. Right. Which is a scary thing.
Well, and not only that is, you know, what people don't understand is that we do have the rights to have guns, but what we don't have the rights to, we've talked about this before, is ammunition. So it's like now they're making it very, very hard to get ammunition. So it's like, go ahead, fine. You can keep your guns, you know, God bless America, keep your firearms. And then behind the curtains, they're like, we are not giving them bullets. You know, so what do we do now? Do we throw our guns at a tank? What do we do? You know, what you got to do is you got to, like we know how to do, you're going to have to manufacture your own ammunition is what's going to happen. So
we're going to have to become more self-sufficient, doing things the old-fashioned way. And it is possible, too.
Oh, it's absolutely possible.
The government bought, what was it? What was it, 1.6 billion Hollow Point rounds? That's, you know, total proof they're trying to buy up much of the stock. In fact, when I go out to try to get bullets, much of the stock is empty. It's really hard to find bullets. So you're spot on about that, Mike.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, man. You know, and I mentioned it earlier. We kind of laughed about it, but are you more who are you more concerned with as far as putting you in a position that you may have to use your Second Amendment right? Let's have a little pop quiz. Would it be A, the boogeymen across the way in the caves? Would it be B, the thugs hanging out on the corner in front of the liquor stores? Or is it going to be your boys walking up and down Wall Street and in and out of the halls of Washington, D.C.?
Ding, ding, ding. You're a winner. You
And
win.
what do I win?
Tyranny.
Yay!
Tyranny.
So anyway, man, you know, let's talk a little bit about this police state because Canada, talking to Chance and talking to Mark earlier, I've been told that that Barack Obama is actually kind of a featherweight compared to what they have going on here in Canada. And when we do have Chance, if he wants to come in on that and explain the police state, Chance, if you're listening, man, explain a little bit. Explain a little bit to us because we don't get the news from here. We're dealing with Fox News and MSNBC and CNN. So as far as we're concerned, you guys have a lovely place. Everybody's peaceful, and the only time you fight is in an ice hockey arena. So that's how they paint the picture for us. So why don't you give us some reality on what's really going on over there?
Well, the part they did get right was the ice hockey. We will fight over ice hockey, and I could care less about it. But I'll tell you, there is some problems in Canada where our police state is so bad, and we are so desensitized to what's going on and some of the stuff that's happening, and we don't even realize it. Like I was commenting with my first conversation with Mike off air a few nights ago, I was saying, in America, for as bad as the police state is, and as for the rights that are being taken from the people and everything that's going on there, for as bad as that is, at least you guys have your 10 amendments or your basic fundamental principles that you are not going to give into. Like, you know, someone standing there saying, you can't say that. I got First Amendment. I ain't gonna say that. I'll say whatever I want. Well, what if I tell you to keep it quiet? Well, I got my Second Amendment. Blow your head off. You know what I mean? That type of thing. You guys have your fundamentals down. If someone wants to search your car, you're screaming Fourth Amendment. Like, Canada, we don't know any of that. We have no amendments, we think. We don't even know we have a Bill of Rights or a Constitution or a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We don't know anything. We just know about hockey and maple syrup. That is it. That's the mass population. But there is an underlying bundle of citizens that are literally banding together, meeting people, starting communities, starting new constitutions, starting new movements, doing the Sovereign Citizen Act, and all the different stuff that we see happening in America. So it's basically like we are living in the same police state, but here in Canada, we're not your free speech zone that you were talking about in America. I thought it was the whole country. It was the free speech zone. And in Canada, we used to be the same way, but now we're to the point where we have laws. You can't do hate speech. If you say anything about the Jewish element, you're probably going right to hell, or I mean jail. And we got to watch what we say up here, even though I don't at all. And basically, we have all these. You know, we had the G20 meeting up here in Canada. I went to the front line. We got shot at with rubber bullets. We got tear gas. We had that exact element that we saw just the year before in the Pittsburgh G20. So, you know, it's pretty shitty up here in the way of the police state control. We signed the SPP document, which basically put Americans in here with Canadians patrolling our borders and Canadians down there patrolling yours, and nobody watching the southern border. So I don't know what to comment about that, but basically, Canada has some problems with our police state. We're just so desensitized that we don't even notice it. I know a lot of different Americans, different groups, different outlets in alternative media always comment, 2 billion guns, or 2 billion rounds of ammunition, all the guns, highest gun sales, all this, you know what I mean? They know about the militarization of the police. Here in Canada, you know, it's a handful of groups that are watching out for the people, and we just had our most recent false flag up in Ottawa, so it's running downhill, guys, and I'm just glad that we have a team of people, you know, cross-border to help, because it's getting pretty bad up here.
Yeah, that's exactly one of the reasons we were, you know, really excited, because it's going to be easier for while we're teamed up. It's going to be nice because the people in Canada are going to kind of get more of an inside look from us on what goes on over here, and then the people here can get an inside look at what's going on over there, without any interruption from the mainstream debacle crap that they throw out there, which is exactly just that, man. I mean, our mainstream media is, it's so scripted, and you know, it's six people own everything that's on TV. They own all of our public newspapers. They own it all. Everything that comes out of that stupid idiot box, they're controlling it. Six people. You know, and it's a good thing. I'm glad that we joined up with you guys, because obviously, unless I talk to you directly, you know, Facebook or whatever, or a phone call, it's really nice to know, because I am very interested. As far as, I mean, we're right next to each other. We're neighbors. Let's face it, we're neighbors. And anything that kind of, like you had mentioned, I watched one of your archives from earlier, and from September 10th, and you were kind of freaked out a little bit that ISIS was about to put boots on the ground here in America. I think that was a September 10th archive, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had we've done a number of shows where, like, I've had shows where we're talking about false flag, and the next week it happens, and we were getting a lot of indications through international media about there being another, you know, false flag style event, and I feel that I probably jumped the gun in the way of my date. I still think you're going to see some sort of ISIS event. Totally staged, totally put on, totally co-opted. We know it's total, you know, Bravo Sierra, and there's no way that it's an actual real event. But I was really under the impression, with the number of warning signs, that we were going to see another September 11th traditional attack, as it's not just September 11th, 2001. This has happened many other times throughout history, and people should start to kind of divulge into history. Can I ask you guys an American opinion on our recent event here in Canada? What did you think about what happened here at our Parliament buildings, and how was it covered down there in the media? Like, was it as blown up as it was here? Because, you know, one guy shot, this happened, you know, that's not really a big deal in the United States, but in Canada, you know, it's pretty intense. We didn't talk about anything for about a week.
Go ahead, Eric, man. I saw you smiling. Go ahead. You go. You take this one, and then I'll jump in.
Oh, it was barely covered. It was on the back pages. They don't cover things like that. Amazing, isn't it? A big deal there, but just a little blip on the radar here.
We heard
anything that happens like that in America too.
We heard more about it off of Facebook, Chance. To be honest with you, we really did.
Barely covered, eh?
Barely covered. Barely covered.
You would have literally thought that they shot our queen or our prime minister or something like that. They shut down a highway from our nation's capital until all the way through Toronto on our busiest highway. It's actually busier than any highway in the United States. It is the busiest highway in North America. They shut the entire thing down and had a parade of heroes, and just marched all the way down to Hamilton, and then had this funeral, and it was everything that you did was just this mass terrorism. It's Al-Qaeda's, it's ISIS's, it's ISIL's, it's everything that I saw happening after 9/11 in the States was what happened here, you know, and it was just such BS. And I know that you guys know about false flags, so what's one of the first things we look at in false flag? There must have been running drills. I went on the Bev Collins show the very next night and exposed the fact that I found the drills. I showed the screenshots. We got all of it right off their own military's website. They're running drills. I broke the story within like 20 hours of it happening. They shut down our channel. They blew up on my YouTube. They were deleting YouTube videos faster than I could upload them. I have like screenshots showing that your video's gone live, but I have a screenshot of 15 minutes earlier it being deleted before it went live. So this is some internal shit. We're being censored in live time here, and we tried exposing that and the Boston bombing, and we really got a hack job up here about that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we especially our history with false flags is, oh man, let's go all the way back to, I'd say, World War II. We'll start with.
Go back to 1898 if you want to start.
Yeah.
Thinking of Battleship Maine.
Oh, you're right.
You can go even farther back than that.
We've got a very long rap sheet of false flags, and every time you're right. You mentioned the drills, and you took the words right out of my mouth, because every single time an event happens, even with this Ferguson thing, that maybe people don't realize is that 10 days before the whole indictment thing was the decision of indicting Officer Wilson, there were drills being run like 2 miles just outside of Ferguson. And there were known to be 70 different vehicles there, SWAT vehicles. And they were running drills inside of the hotels, like underground in the basement areas, things like that. And but that was the first one in a long time where it was happening days that led up to it. Normally, over here, it happens, the drills happen on the same exact day as our actual events are taking place. It happened on 9/11. It happened in London. Sandy Hook, it was happening. It happened with the Georgia Tech shooting too. The theater in Chicago, there was a drill being run there at the time. It's not coincidence. It's not. And we're pretty comfortable in America by, as long as we can come home and we can sit on our couch and we can eat our food that's packed with GMOs and genetically engineered and being poisoned by chemtrails, and be able to flip through the channels and sit there like zombies. We're comfortable, man. Nothing else matters to us.
Did you guys happen to see the actual drills on the Canadian website, Canadian government website? Did you guys see what was all up and posted and how it actually broke down to the literal dates where it all happened?
I did not.
No, I did not either. I did not.
I'm going to pull up a website on here while you guys are talking, so I'll let you guys go for 1 second. I'm going to try and pull up the Canadian Armed Forces, and I'll just throw a bug in here when I'm back on screen.
Okay.
Get up-to-date news of what's going on in the U.S., let alone Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Factual, I should say.
Well, what we've got is, in America, we've got our, well, if you want to call them our elected officials, that's fine. I call them, they come from the Washington, D.C. Actors Guild. These guys are, these politicians, I swear to God, man, they're not politicians. These guys are trained actors. I mean, I'm not making it up. On screen, you've got Democrats fighting with Republicans, Republicans fighting with Democrats, and behind closed doors, they're all eating dinner together. They're high-fiving each other, man. It's a two-headed coin. I mean, what do I say, Eric? It's two bowls of shit, and the only difference is the smell. And that's exactly how I feel about this two-party system, which is it's a very, very broken system, and it's been broken for a very, very, very long time.
Make a reference, guys, as we're doing this. I got that website up. And anyone who's watching the live feed, I don't know if this will be simulcast in audio, but we do that as well. There'll be some audio streams, so if you're watching the actual HD video, you'll notice that I have the Canadian government website up. It's the National Defense and Canadian Armed Forces. I'm surprised they have a website considering it's like 3 boats, okay? It's pathetically terrible. Most of our military is actually your military helping us out. But I just wanted to pull up I went on here, and in seconds I realized after it, you got to find the drill. So I went on here. You know, it says right on here, operations. Okay. Military exercises. That looks like a good place to start. Clicked on there, and we see a list of different military exercises. These are the active ones that were happening. And it took a matter of, an hour to sit here and go through every single one and try and find out which one fit the bill the best. I found Exercise Determined Dragon. It's right here. This actually, after I exposed this on the Thursday night show, we went and checked back, and a couple other local shows in Canada were reporting on this, and the website got taken down. This page was gone. But it's Exercise Determined Dragon 14. And the part that really got me is they said that the execution phase for this, I'm going to highlight this and put it right on screen, is 20 to 29 October 2014. Okay, so if anyone in America wasn't able to follow the mass Canadian shooting at the Parliament, they probably missed it on the fact that we had another terrorist attack by an ISIS guy who had no links to ISIS at all, and they killed another gentleman in, I believe it was Quebec, and he was another soldier. And that happened on the 20th, which was the first day of the execution phase, 20 to 29 October 2014. And then it was 2 days later, on the 24th, we had the big Parliament shooting, and then it was just another school shooting or another event all across Canada for about the next week, and then they just stopped, and that was during this exact just over a week period. So